Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the heart of Genoa City's most thrilling dramas on this beautiful day. We have an incredibly intense development to unpack today, so let us jump right into the shadows lurking over our favorite families. Genoa City is a town built on the foundations of towering corporate empires and the fragile glass houses of familial legacies. For decades, the Newman and Abbott dynasties have stood as the twin pillars of this Midwestern metropolis, weathering corporate takeovers, scandalous affairs, and bitter vendettas. Yet, the atmosphere currently suffocating the city is distinctly different from the usual boardroom brawls. A palpable, suffocating dread has settled over the estates, a chilling reminder that the ghosts of the past rarely stay buried. The air is thick with the unspoken terror of unresolved traumas, specifically the looming, unpredictable threat of individuals who operate entirely outside the bounds of conventional morality and legal consequence. This is not a war of stock prices, it is a war for survival against forces that seek nothing less than absolute, scorched earth annihilation of the city's most powerful bloodlines. At the center of this gathering storm stands Victor Newman, a patriarch whose legendary ruthlessness is currently being fueled by a desperate, primal need to protect his family. The recent catastrophic events in Las Vegas have left an indelible, bloody mark on the Newman legacy. Victor has been forced to watch his sons, Nick and Adam, dragged through a literal and psychological inferno orchestrated by the sadistic Matt Clark. The revelation of Nick's severe fentanyl addiction, a direct consequence of Matt's twisted psychological torture, has shattered Victor's illusion of absolute control. Driven by a paternal fury that borders on the obsessive, Victor has completely shifted his focus from corporate acquisitions to the singular, urgent goal of neutralizing Matt Clark. Every resource at his disposal, every ounce of his formidable intellect, is now dedicated to eradicating the man who dared to bring such profound suffering to his children. Understanding that conventional methods have failed, Victor has mobilized his vast, shadow network of elite private investigators. He knows that Matt Clark is not merely a blunt instrument of violence. He is a cunning, elusive predator who thrives in the dark corners of society. Victor's directives to his intelligence team were absolute and uncompromising. He ordered them to tear apart every shred of Matt's history, dig into every forgotten crevice of his past, and find the leverage necessary to destroy him permanently. The investigation spanned across state lines, delving into obscure public records, encrypted financial transactions, and the whispered testimonies of the criminal underworld. Victor paced the floors of the Newman Ranch, a caged lion waiting for the scent of blood, anticipating a revelation that would finally give him the upper hand against the amnesiac phantom currently haunting the local athletic club. When the heavily redacted, highly classified dossier finally arrived on Victor's desk, the contents were more explosive than any physical bomb Matt Clark could have constructed. The investigators had unearthed the deeply buried, meticulously hidden legal document from a remote, dusty municipality miles away from the glaring lights of Genoa City. It was a marriage contract, executed years ago under carefully constructed aliases designed to evade even the most sophisticated background checks. The signatures on the document, however, were undeniably authentic, verified by Victor's top forensic analysts. Matt Clark, the monster who had terrorized Sharon and Nick, was legally bound in holy matrimony. But it was the identity of the bride that sent a visceral shockwave through Victor's core, completely upending his strategic calculations and freezing the blood in his veins. The woman named on that obscure marriage certificate was none other than Patty Williams. The sheer magnitude of this revelation cannot be overstated. Patty Williams is a woman whose name is synonymous with profound psychiatric instability, violent obsession, and a trail of shattered lives. She is not merely a tragic figure, she is a deeply dangerous, highly unpredictable force of nature who harbors a venomous, historic hatred for the Abbott family. Her past is littered with catastrophic actions, from shooting Victor himself to her relentless, obsessive stalking of Jack Abbott, and her recent, terrifying harassment of his son, Kyle. Patty operates in a reality entirely her own, making her immune to the traditional threats and manipulations that Victor Newman typically employs to control his adversaries. As Victor absorbed the reality of this unholy union, the seemingly random events of the past few weeks suddenly align with terrifying clarity. He recalled the intelligence reports of a supposedly chance encounter between the amnesiac Matt Clark and Patty Williams at the local coffee house. At the time, it seemed like a bizarre coincidence featuring two of Genoa City's most notorious outcasts sharing a fleeting moment of connection. Now, through the chilling lens of this secret marriage contract, Victor realized that their meeting was anything but accidental. It was a calculated rendezvous, a silent communion between two apex predators. The realization dawned on Victor that Patty's recent claims of rehabilitation and redemption were nothing more than a meticulously crafted smokescreen designed to mask her true, devastating intentions. The implications of a legal and emotional partnership between Matt Clark and Patty Williams are nothing short of apocalyptic for the power structures of Genoa City. These are not ordinary criminals seeking financial gain. They are agents of chaos driven by deep-seated, pathological vendettas. Matt possesses the cold, calculating cruelty and the tactical brilliance to execute complex, deadly traps, as evidenced by his recent reign of terror in Las Vegas. Patty brings an unpredictable, explosive emotional volatility and an intimate, dangerous knowledge of the Abbott family's deepest vulnerabilities. Together, they form a symbiotic nightmare. Matt provides the structural framework for destruction, while Patty provides the unhinged, unpredictable energy necessary to bypass any rational defense. They are the perfect storm, bound by secret vow to dismantle the lives of those who have wronged them. This devastating discovery forces Victor to completely reevaluate the foundational premise of his current crisis regarding Matt Clark's sudden amnesia. Following the violent altercation with Sienna Bacall in the desert, Matt has presented himself as a blank slate, a man stripped of his memories and his malice. Currently charming Phyllis Summers at the local bar, Victor had tentatively accepted this medical diagnosis, viewing it as a temporary reprieve from the violence. However, the existence of Patty Williams as his secret wife shatters that assumption entirely. Victor's mind, always prone to suspicion, now races with a terrifying new theory. He strongly suspects the amnesia is not a medical condition, but a brilliant psychological weapon. Patty, with her deep understanding of psychological manipulation, likely orchestrated this facade to allow Matt to infiltrate Genoa City's inner circles without triggering immediate retaliation. Delving into the psychology of Patty Williams reveals a motivation rooted in decades of perceived rejection and profound betrayal. Her obsession with Jack Abbott has been the defining, destructive force of her life. Despite her numerous institutionalizations and her claims of healing, the core of her trauma remains tethered to the Abbott patriarch and the family that she believes discarded her. Her recent, unsettling interactions with Kyle Abbott demonstrate that her fixation has not faded. It has merely evolved, targeting the next generation. Teaming up with Matt Clark provides Patty with the ultimate instrument of vengeance. Matt has the capacity to inflict the kind of visceral, structural damage that Patty's chaotic mind desires, but often fails to execute cleanly. Through Matt, Patty can finally orchestrate the total, inescapable ruin of the Abbott legacy. Conversely, Matt Clark's motivations are equally dark and deeply intertwined with the Newman family. His historical abuse of Sharon Newman and his relentless, sadistic torment of Nick Newman are driven by a need for absolute dominance and the infliction of pain. His recent actions in Las Vegas, culminating in the near death of Nick from tainted fentanyl, prove that his thirst for Newman blood is unquenchable. By aligning himself with Patty Williams, Matt gains an invaluable asset in the form of an insider who understands the intricate, fragile dynamics of Genoa City's elite. Patty provides him with camouflage, a strategic partner who can cause distractions, manipulate key players, and create the perfect chaotic environment for Matt to execute his lethal strikes against Victor's family. As the pieces of this horrifying puzzle fall into place, Victor Newman is forced to confront a bitter, uncomfortable truth about his own complicity in the creation of this monster. He cannot ignore the fact that he previously weaponized Patty Williams for his own gain, utilizing her instability to sabotage Jack Abbott's marriage on a yacht. Victor believed he could control the chaos, that he could point a weapon like Patty at his enemies and cleanly put it away when the job was done. Now, that arrogance has spectacularly backfired. By empowering Patty, by validating her destructive capabilities, he inadvertently helped forge the very weapon that is now pointed directly at the heart of the Newman Empire. The monster he thought he had leashed has broken free, found a mate, and returned to burn his kingdom to the ground. The revelation of this dual revenge plot necessitates a massive, immediate paradigm shift in Victor's defensive and offensive strategies. He is no longer hunting a lone, isolated psychopath. He is fighting a coordinated, two-front war against a married syndicate of terror. Victor realizes he must simultaneously protect his family from Matt's physical and psychological traps while guarding against Patty's insidious, emotional sabotage. This requires an unprecedented level of vigilance and perhaps an unthinkable alliance. Victor must consider warning Jack Abbott, his oldest rival, about the impending doom. The survival of both their dynasties may depend on their ability to recognize the shared threat. The board has been reset, and Victor must play a game where the rules are dictated by madness and malice. As an observer of this intricate, devastating narrative unfolding, I find myself genuinely chilled by the sheer brilliance and terror of this plot twist. There is a profound, almost tragic poetry in watching two of the most damaged, dangerous individuals in this universe find solace and purpose in each other's darkness. It evokes a deep sense of dread, a knot in the stomach that tightens with every passing moment, knowing the catastrophic pain they are capable of inflicting. Subjectively, it is a masterclass in psychological horror within a dramatic framework. You cannot help but feel a morbid fascination, a genuine fear for the characters we have followed for years. Realizing that the walls they have built to protect themselves are entirely useless against an enemy that attacks from the inside out. Armed with both intimate knowledge and an absolute lack of empathy, the impending detonation of this secret will send catastrophic ripple effects throughout the entirety of Genoa City. For the Abbotts, the revelation that Patty is orchestrating their downfall alongside a known killer will shatter their already fragile dynamics. Diane Jenkins, already spiraling into paranoia over Jack and Nikki, will find her worst fears magnified exponentially. Kyle, currently estranged from his father, will be thrust into the crosshairs of a woman who views him as an extension of her trauma. For the Newmans, the terror is even more acute. Nick, struggling to maintain his sobriety, and Sharon, already paralyzed by the fear of Matt's return, will face a psychological onslaught designed to break them completely. The safety of the children, the stability of the corporations, everything is now fundamentally at risk. Victor Newman now stands at the precipice of the most dangerous conflict of his life, holding a piece of paper that redefines the very nature of his enemies. The secret marriage of Matt Clark and Patty Williams is a ticking time bomb, a silent countdown to a dual annihilation that threatens to reduce both the Newman and Abbott legacies to ash. Victor must act with unprecedented speed and ruthlessness, navigating a labyrinth of fake amnesia, deep-seated psychological trauma, and coordinated malice. He must outmaneuver two minds that operate without the constraints of logic or mercy. As the shadows lengthen over the Newman ranch, the ultimate question remains whether Victor can dismantle this unholy alliance before their vows of destruction are fully consummated. Or if Genoa City is about to witness the final, bloody triumph of its most terrifying ghosts.